So we have 11 videos filled to the brim with small details you would miss in Demon Slayer, and today we are bringing you every single one. If you're loving all these details you missed in Demon Slayer Season 2, then drop us a like and subscribe. But let's jump right into it. Starting off our list at number 10, episode name, Sound Hashira, Tengen Uzui. I have a lot to say on this part, so listen up. There's a lot of details that many may miss because we were all excited for Demon Slayer to return. But as you know, Demon Slayer does well in hiding its nuance in its subtle shots. Take for instance at the beginning scenes as Muzan blends in perfectly with human society. We also see shots in black and white. Not trying to spoil the end of the season, but these shots will make more sense then. The sash, the hairpins, and what looks like another era and district, and also a half-dead insect. I don't know how important that is. More than that, this episode also introduces us to another Hashira, Tengen Uzui, the Sound Hashira, who, when we first meet him, is the opposite of what we expect a Hashira to be, kidnapping girls and all. But our young heroes step up to the plate to offer their services. The three amigos go through training. So, reeling back from the death of our favorite Hashira, the three amigos, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu, start training and of course, face off in harder battles to protect those they find important. Many I bet were shocked that Zenitsu didn't whine and complain all the way, even going on his own missions and defeating demons. Believe it or not guys, being scared is a character trait. It keeps him well grounded. More than many of us, as if we were put in the same situation as him, probably would be pissing our pants right into the mouth of a hungry demon. Sun breathing revealed. The moment this gem dropped, I realized that a million YouTube videos started instantly covering the entire backstory beat for beat, not giving one rat's tiny butthole about anyone who's not read the manga. Don't worry guys, I won't do that to you, I won't put you through that, but I'm sure 90% of you guys have already read the manga. Anyways, ranting aside, we finally get a little backstory on the style that Tanjiro's father taught him. Sun breathing was the first breathing style and form to ever be created. All other forms and styles are just imitations of this great and powerful art. But why does Tanjiro know it as the Hinokami? And he's even said for years that his family were coal miners. As well as, not only Muzan, but Shinjiro instantly recognized him based off his earrings, so they hold an even greater significance than he would have ever thought. Tanjiro gets the handguard. So this episode is a very significant one. Not only did Tanjiro find out more about the Hinokami, he was handed Kyojiro's handguard as a memento from Senjuro to carry on the Flame Hashira's will and the will of the Rengoku family. After all, his older brother died, and with him not being a swordsman, and his father being kind of a drunk, that essentially killed the prospects of a Flame Hashira anytime soon. Tanjiro holds great respect for Kyojiro. Though they didn't have a long time together, his fighting spirit would ignite a burning flame inside Tanjiro's heart that will set him down the path of the mighty. I can't wait to see what great things he achieves with his father's Hinokami, his ancestors' earrings, his family's hopes, and the hearts of everyone who believes in him. Muzan's shape-shifting. We all seen the memes. Muzan can play the entire family. His regular Michael Jackson cosplay, his female demon, and this child impression. They are all impeccable. But this is more than just him playing dress up. This actually shows how good he is to blending with the crowd and even fooling humans into believing that he is a part of them. He's very good at manipulating the emotions of everyone around him, but I'm sure we'll see more of this ability as the season goes on. Anime exclusive scenes. So this was a pretty long episode, about 46 minutes, and we've gotten a whole ton of anime exclusive shots. However, I'll only just be highlighting a few of them, and going forward, we will be highlighting them in every one of these videos moving forward. Hope you enjoy. Manga comparisons. Since we'll be doing anime exclusive scenes, I thought that it would be nice to compare some of the manga scenes as well. So here they are, some side-by-side comparisons with the manga versus the anime. Hope you enjoy. The real mission for the 12 Demon Kizuki. Alright, it's time for a little bit of snooping. It seems that the 12 Demon Kizuki have a second mission. Apart from annihilating demon slayers and humanity, it is to find the blue spider lily. We know that red ones exist for sure. They're shown in nearly every episode at the ending. But what is their significance and what is the purpose of the blue one, I wonder? Tengen Uzui. So in this episode, we're introduced to the flashy sound Hashira Tengen Uzui, who looks like a beast, I must say. Notice that he has 2 blades, much like Inosuke that carries around 2 Nichirin blades as well. So making those 2 the only 2 demon slayers so far that carry 2 Nichirin blades that we've been introduced to. But apart from his awesome blades, we see that his personality is completely different from that of the respectable Kyojiro. In fact, it's a bit refreshing and off-putting at the same time. Many will try to cancel him, but I'm sure he'll prove it hard to do. And many will fall in love with him before the season ends. He is far more than meets the eye. We are off to the entertainment district. So now our 3 amigos and Nezuko know exactly what they signed up for. They are all headed to the entertainment district to flush out an elusive demon. A nice fact is that the name of this arc was changed from the red light district, which sounded a bit too on the nose for the executive producers, so they changed it over to something a little bit more friendly. But the name of the manga was also too long, which would have been the Great Red Light District Penetration Operation. Too long. So entertainment district is fine with me. Episode name: Infiltrating the Entertainment District. So it's time for our 3 amigos to go undercover and infiltrate the entertainment district. Tengen's wives have been missing. Each of our heroes is sent to their respective house for the missing women to gather some intel. And God, these makeup are so horrible. Oh my goodness. It doesn't even hide them at all. But you know, it's just a gag and it's pretty funny, so I'll go with it. Anime exclusive scenes. So you know how this goes already. Here are some anime exclusive scenes for you to enjoy. Manga comparisons. So you know what follows anime exclusive scenes? Here are some manga comparisons for you to enjoy. Tengen's personality. So we get a quick synopsis of the Sound Hashira's personality. Episode 1 had a greater impact, but in this episode, we see how much he really cares about his wives, in that he's always kept in touch with them up to the very moment that he lost contact, then he jumped into action. He also blends in pretty well with normal humans as well, let's not forget about that. Zenitsu's talents. I may have said this in the previous one, but I'm just going to dive a little bit deeper into it. So despite Zenitsu being arguably the ugliest girl out of the 3 amigos, that doesn't mean that he isn't beautiful in his own way. With a face only a mother could love, he has developed a talent for playing any stringed instrument almost instantaneously at a masterful level. This is due to his extreme hearing that, you know, we've said time and time. Tanjiro's initiative. Much like Zenitsu, Tanjiro isn't much to look at as it relates to being a female, especially when having an ugly scar across his forehead, making him a bad buy. But he makes up for this lack of looks with his willingness to work diligently and endlessly. I'd hire him to clean my house because sometimes, man, it's exhausting. Inosuke's beauty. Unlike Tanjiro and Zenitsu, Inosuke is the total catch. but horrible in everything else, specifically table manners, meaning that he's a perfect trophy wife and wouldn't have a problem finding a man to settle down with. But anyways, jokes aside, Inosuke may be the only one who's perfectly suited for this disguise. And that's really cool. Captured by a demon. So we finally see what happened to one of Tengen's wives. She's alive, but being held by a demon, trying to extract information from her. It seems the demon tracks all the letters being sent out, and this is how she was discovered. But Inosuke seems to be on the trail. Focusing on cloth. This season seems to be focusing a lot on cloth. It seems this demon must control them or something. You can actually see them at the end when Tanjiro picks up a cloth. Tengen's wife is tied up by a cloth to the wall as well. Seems this demon controls them. Moving on. More about the Red Light District. So the Red Light District is a place for prostitutes, that much is clear. In the anime, it's located in Yoshiwara, Tokyo, a place much like when we first met Muzan, which is bustling with lights and activity. Unlike that location though, this one doesn't seem to have much of a technology stick to it. It mostly looks urban, but the area is well bathed in expensive food, clothes, and women, just showing how wealthy the environment is, and I'm excited to see what comes up. Here we have a little history lesson on the Edo period. So this episode opens up in the Edo period, which, if you didn't know, is over 300 years ago from the Taisho period, which the anime is slated, and about 400 years from when this video will be published. The Edo period, or Tokugawa period, is a period between 1603 and 1867, while the Taisho period is a period in history dating from the 30th of July 1912 to 25th of December 1926. If you're interested in learning more about these times, I'll leave a link to the wiki in the description below. So, pig out. Comparisons to the trailer and the opening for the second season of Demon Slayer. So this episode is littered itself with small pieces from the trailer, so let's illustrate them. Here we see Daki smiling from the trailer, except in the episode it's now black and white. There's a small variation where Inosuke punches this guy in the face, and here we see Muzan from the opening. There's a few that I left out. Can you tell me in the comments which one are they? I would be amazed. Let's take a look at some details that you may have missed about Inosuke. So in this episode, we get a great chase scene. If you didn't notice, Inosuke is wearing lipstick. And that's all I wanted to say. So time to move on to the next one. I'm just kidding, it's not over yet. This scene is more than you think. Inosuke's sense of touch is being hindered to a high degree because of what he's wearing. With his sense of touch, he's able to accurately sense the location of a demon wherever they are. A little bit later, he does try to heighten his senses by doing yoga. Another cool moment is when Inosuke punches this guy. For a quick second, we the viewers get to see how his sense of touch works. Much like Toph from Avatar, it works like a radar. We've actually seen this before in the Natagumo Mountain arc. Up next, some Zenitsu lore. This was stated a little bit more explicitly in the last episode about his hearing. Due to his extreme ability to hear, he can master nearly any instrument by just hearing it once. He's even mentioned the shamisen in this episode. One thing that this episode kind of skipped over though, is that he can literally hear everything that's happening in the brothel. Oh my word, I can just imagine what he's hearing. Another instance that showcases his superhuman hearing is when he heard the sounds that came from Daki's body, and he could instantly know that she was an upper rank, Daki being revealed. If you didn't notice before, there are some dead giveaways that she's a demon, without a doubt. And if you missed it, Zenitsu and Muzan confirmed it as well. I guess that's pretty obvious, isn't it? What if I told you that Daki's name is only said once by Muzan? Still not impressed? How about the clear difference that Muzan treats Daki from other male demons? Muzan may be impartial when it comes on to his male troops, but when it comes to his female, he's such a sweet soul. Some fans believe that because Daki is number 6, he sees her as weak and such he treats her like a baby. What's your opinion on this? What's next on our list? Let's look at Daki's weapon set. As you can see from the trailer and even the opening, she uses her demon sashes. These aren't normal cloths. You see, she actually created them from her flesh. These sashes are as strong as steel and as sharp as any blade. On top of that, she has the ability to create sentinel beings from them. we actually saw these sashes questioning one of Tengen's wives for answers. But something else you may not have noticed, why was it so easy for the sash to escape from Inosuke carrying a human? If you slow down the scene, you actually notice that Tengen's wife isn't seen when the sash slithers past Inosuke. This is also another special ability from Daki, being able to absorb people into those flesh sashes as if it was a pocket dimension. The three amigos all use their special abilities in this episode. You may not have noticed, but Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu all use their special abilities during this one episode. Though with Tanjiro's, it was more to the end of the episode, passively, rather than how Zenitsu and Inosuke use theirs actively. Up next, demons can't distinguish between regular humans and those from the Demon Slayer Corps, or Hashira. Said by the Demon King himself, it seems that demons can tell humans based off their blood, disease, and genes, but can't tell if they're Hashira. They basically can't tell the strength of a human. This means that demons can tell all sorts of sicknesses you have just by looking at you, like having microscopes behind their eyes or something. With demon slayers we've seen like Zenitsu, without even looking at Daki, he was able to deduce that she was a demon. This is a glaring weakness that the demons possess. If you thought demons were epically overpowered, well, here is one of your Achilles' heels, except for being decapitated or left in the sun to dry like a raisin. At our number 2, this falls under some details you missed, but why is Daki floating? Yes, I said she was floating, not flying, but how does she do this? Not only are her sashes super strong, but they're super light as well. This ability to turn her flesh into cloth-like material not only is a part of her sashes, but her entire body. This shows how capable of a demon she is. Even though she's the lowest rank of the upper moons, she's super dangerous, as she's been killing scores of humans since the 1600s. Scenes that weren't in the manga. So within every episode of the Demon Slayer new season, there will be some anime exclusive scenes that were definitely not illustrated in the manga. Here are a few. Tanjiro diligently working, these three girls thanking Zenitsu for his help, and Zenitsu being abducted. Within the manga, it's not stated nor shown, but it is implied that he disappeared soon after being injured by Daki. Within the anime, we definitely see these scenes animated. Episode name: Tonight. So naturally, the name of the episode is Tonight, which not only refers to the first meeting of this demon face-to-face in battle, but the time of day or night the rest of the arc will take place. As you know, demons only come out at night to feed, and demon hunters, or if you rather, demon slayers, like Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu have to all face them at night, head on. This time we see Tanjiro going head to head with the demon Daki. This fight looks like it's gonna be epic, guys. Zenitsu is missing. Just in case you didn't see the end credits of the last episode, it showed Zenitsu being captured by the demon Daki. As you already know, if you watched my last video, it wasn't illustrated within the manga, it was only stated. This time, we get a front and center view as this episode really surrounds the disappearance of Zenitsu. Within this episode, we get a quick glimpse of what happens once a girl goes missing. All hushed words and cover-ups, and no one wants to be a target. Demon Slayer Corps rankings. So after Tengen told Tanjiro and Inosuke to leave as soon as possible because of their low rank, Inosuke reminds Tanjiro what rank they are. These ranks were all said within the final selection, way back at the beginning of the series. If you didn't know, here's a quick reminder. Inosuke says to Tanjiro that they're currently at the 4th lowest, meaning they aren't all that weak. There are 10 ranks, and they are rated number 7, which I think it's bull because Lower Moon 1 Enmu was decapitated by Tanjiro with the help of Inosuke. So why are they still such low ranks? Special Demon Slayer technique. So along with breathing styles and form, the Demon Slayer Corps has a number of special tricks only reserved for them. Like the one Inosuke showed, the exact way the mark is placed on a Demon Slayer isn't known, but it allows a Demon Slayer to know their rank if they somehow forget or want to check. Who needs a phone when you got this? Special words said by Uzui. These words said by Tengen has a greater meaning than what you would think. Not only does it show his true personality and why he did what he did, but it also stands for what responsibility that he is tasked with. It does lead a little into his past, but as I said, I'll stay away from spoilers for just a little bit, but I'll cover it when it comes up. These words tell how much he loves his wives, and he's even told them before, prioritize staying alive over a mission. We can see that he also feels great regret, as when he brought the three amigos, he thought them being demon slayers would allow him him to flush out the demon. But seeing that Zenitsu has disappeared, he feels the weight of the world on his shoulder and the responsibility. He doesn't want Inosuke and Tanjiro to befell the same fate, so he asks them to leave. I bet you didn't know these short words could have such a heavy meaning, did you? Special rats. Alright, so I already said this fact within my breakdown video of Tengen's Nichirin blades and all his ninja tools. You should definitely watch that video. He's one of the only demon slayers that actually uses rats to assist him in his mission. He isn't the only demon slayer to use animals, as Iguro Obanai has his snake. But anyways, Tengen trains these rats not only to be super strong, but to be super smart as well. As you know, rats can make it in and out of pretty much anywhere pretty easily. We see a testament to their strength and intelligence when they were holding Inosuke's blades for him. Daki's power. If you saw my last video before, I did state that one of Daki's power is to store humans in her sashes. Here we get to see it fully on display as she absorbs a human before Tanjiro's very eyes. Did anyone get goosebumps when Tanjiro finally saw her face to face? Whew, you know this fight's gonna be good. Daki's sashes. Alright, so more on the strength of her sashes. They are as strong as steel and faster than the human eye can register. On top of that, due to their cloth-like nature, she can cut fully grown men to ribbons as if they were nothing, much like we saw showcased with Rui. These sashes are made out of her own flesh and also possess their own supernatural power. Anime versus manga. Here are some shot-by-shot comparisons to the manga for this particular episode. Is it weird that I'm simping for a demon? I'm in danger. Anime exclusive shots. So, like every new Demon Slayer episode, this one is littered with some nice anime exclusive shots. Here they are. Episode name, things are gonna get real flashy. And flashy they did, showing Tanjiro, Tengen, and Inosuke showing off their stuff. Tanjiro in his fight against Upper Moon Daki, right off the bat using his Hinokami like a true soldier on the battlefield. Tengen, hot on the trails of a demon, using his sound breathing for the first time we've seen in the series, and Inosuke taking on Daki's sash to rescue all the humans she's captured. Truly amazing episodes as things are heating up. Tanjiro mentions his temperature. Did anyone else get the sort of foreboding feeling? Yes, Tanjiro did mention his temperature. This may be because of his use of the Hinokami, which is very hot. No pun intended. Or could it be a sign of something else happening inside Tanjiro's body? This may or may not be explained in the future. Maybe the hotter he gets, the more he can use the Hinokami. But we'll just have to watch and see. Manga readers, don't spoil it for the anime onlys, please. More about Daki's power. Daki is a formidable demon, showing that she can even lightly chip Tanjiro's blade with just a brief exchange, meaning his blade could break any minute and that could spell doom for our young demon slayer. But more than that, she can maintain a psychic connection with her sash, guarding her human storage, which isn't surprising since it's made out of her own flesh. I wonder what other abilities she'll display in the next coming episodes. Ooh, I can't wait. Tengen's acute hearing. You may not have known this, but as the sound Hashira, Tengen's ability to hear is incredibly acute, much like that of Zenitsu's. We see him use this incredible hearing when he listens to the ground and realizes that there are tunnels underneath, filled with even humans. That's how good his hearing is. And much like Daki, I'm sure he'll show us more of his power as the series progresses. More on Tengen's power, his Nichirin blades. As the sound Hashira, we get a front row seat in seeing him use his breathing technique, breath of sound, to blast a large hole in the ground, showing that he is not only incredibly strong, but his Nichirin blades are powerful as well. If you'd like to know more about Tengen's Amber Nichirin blade, then please check out my video on it. But for now, let's move on. Anime exclusive scenes. So you know how this goes already. We've got some anime exclusive scenes for you to check out. Again, another obvious fact, here are some manga exclusive scenes just for you. Tanjiro's growth. Do you remember that little kid who struggled against Lower Moon 5 Rui? It's nice to see that all his training didn't go to waste. Now facing an upper rank, Tanjiro digs deep and takes her on in his stride. But not only that, despite his senses screaming that he will lose to her, he never gives up and pushes beyond his body's natural sense of self-preservation to take on this demon, to either defeat her or hold out until the Hashira show up, keeping the flame inside of his heart burning brightly for all of us to witness. A display of strength. So in this episode, we finally got to see Tengen's breathing forms at work. We also noticed that there is a few things happening when discussing the theme of the episode. One of them being sound, especially with breathing forms. When Tanjiro is using his Hinokami, a strange sound is heard when he's breathing. This sound is very unpleasant to Daki, and probably other demons as well. Zenitsu's own sixfold Thunderclap and Flash, and Tengen's first form, Roar, actually both make loud sounds. The main reason for this is because sound breathing is an offshoot of thunder breathing. Breath of Sound focuses on explosive movements, while Breath of Thunder focuses on speed. Call it lightning and thunder, if you will. Before we get to our number one, we actually have a few honorable mentions that I didn't get to touch on within this video. Tengen telling his wives to prioritize staying alive rather than the mission. I did highlight this in a previous top 10 video. If you haven't seen it as yet, here's a link to it, or I'll leave it in the description. This is the first episode that we're actually getting more than just a snapshot of Zenitsu's blade. We actually see him pull the blade, sheath the blade, and use it within his techniques, even training as well. This is the first time Inosuke is seeing Zenitsu perform his techniques. Tanjiro still has yet to see. Tanjiro performing a brand new Hinokami move, Fake Rainbow. All three of Tengen's wives are Konoichi, otherwise known as female ninja, each with their own personalities and fighting styles. One of Tengen's family traditions is having 3 wives chosen for him to make sure the family line is carried on. Tanjiro makes it clear that his body isn't suited for water breathing. When Tanjiro says these words, "Set your heart ablaze," Rengoku's theme begins to play. Anyone else getting movie flashbacks? Tanjiro's words, "Set your heart ablaze." Tanjiro carries in his heart the will of fire, not to become the next Hokage, but to take on any challenge and surpass his limits. This is a memento to the Hashira which had the most impact in his fighting spirit, Kyojuro Rengoku. We all saw him say these words for the final time and pull out one of the most awesome finishing moves in history, despite already being injured beyond what any normal human could withstand. These words have a great significance to Tanjiro and will stick with him for the rest of the series. Episode name, Layered Memories. So Demon Slayer seems to be heating up even more, and I know last week I said that episode was the best, but it has nothing compared to this one. The animation is popping off. But anyways, this week's episode features some really important scenes from both the present and the past, one of which being Kyojuro's father, the previous Flame Hashira, Shinjiro. He is now letting us know exactly what happened to him and why he's so bitter, and finally admitting how talented our favorite Flame Hashira, Rengoku, was. On top of that, he is now coming to terms with everything that not only happened to his wife, but Rengoku as well, showing that Tanjiro's headbutt really did do the trick. It's really good to see him repair the manual to what he destroyed. Let's hope that Tanjiro gets to see it this time. Daki's transformation. So now we're actually getting much closer to Daki's real strength. As you can see, when her sash returned to her, her hair color changed and she gained a significant power boost, not only in her strength, but her speed, perception of her techniques, and even more, showing that Tanjiro was never a match for her in the first place. Eagle-eyed viewers would also see that from the previous episode, Daki was playing with her food for a little bit, in not taking Tanjiro seriously. And I must say, she's even prettier now with the white hair, don't you think? Nezuko joins the fight. Just like we saw in the opening, Nezuko was bound to join the fight sooner or later, and it seems she's pissed. How dare you hurt my brother, she must be saying. And coming in, what great timing, as Tanjiro was literally on the verge of death. But Nezuko, does she look a little different to you? She hasn't really fought at her full strength since she fought the Temari demon. Of course, she did play some smaller roles in fighting other demons like Enmu and helping Tanjiro on his mission. But this time, she's going against an upper rank that even Tanjiro's Hinokami couldn't beat. Let's see how this beatdown goes. Demon waifu versus demon waifu. Remorse and regrets from Rengoku's dad. So I touched on this a little bit earlier, but I didn't place much emphasis on it as much as I could. So why not add an extra entry? So Shinjiro was the one who first told us about sun breathing, and that the flame Hashiras seem to keep a diary or book reference on it. Because of his backstory, we now begin to feel what he does and understand his motives. Still seems a little scummy though, but hey, his story doesn't end here. He does become somewhat of an important role to Tanjiro in him learning more about sun breathing, and who knows, maybe more. Who else felt really good seeing him show Rengoku the respect and adoration that he deserved? Kyojuro, being an amazing Hashira, became one by training himself with only 3 volumes of flame-breathing articles, even after his father had stopped training him. What a true genius, if anyone would say so. Tanjiro's true power. So in this episode, we get to see Tanjiro pop off. Even though Daki got a really nice power boost, so did Tanjiro. Fueled by rage and the words of his distant ancestor, he blasts Daki with a flurry of unpredictable attacks, showing that he has much more to offer. But there are a few questions that we need to have answered. I wonder what the show will show us in the future. I'm pretty sure they will answer. Tanjiro's words. A link to the past, as you know, is heavily themed within this episode. And though a bit of exposition from our favorite demon waifu, we get to see why Muzan is so hell-bent on killing Tanjiro. It seems his cells remember an ancient warrior who he ran into, and Tanjiro seems to embody the very essence of this demon slayer, causing Muzan's cells to quiver in their boots. Ooh, foreboding. Nezuko's transformation. Seems everyone is having a transformation this episode, huh? After saving her brother from a near fatal situation and getting herself sliced apart, Nezuko pulls a fast one and levels up to upper rank strength in an instant. Donning a new horn, some flower markings on her body, and some extra oomph. There is an amazing power up as well. Now she's able to kick Daki into oblivion like a cockroach. This is her demonic transformation, Berserk mode. It was hinted in the opening, and now we get to see her true power showcase front and center. This is when she releases all her rage and lets herself be consumed by her demon side without being tied to Muzan's cells. Even Daki recognizes her true power as something to be afraid of. Wow, these Kamado siblings are amazing. Unfortunately for us, we don't get to see more of it. Anime exclusive shots. As you know how this goes, here are some anime exclusive shots for you. I hope you enjoy. You know what comes after anime exclusive shots? Some manga comparisons. Here we go, enjoy. I bet you're really loving this video. Here's a great way that you can support us. Like, share, and subscribe to get notified of when we post new content. To actually get notified, click on that notification bell. Now back to the video. Tanjiro's scar, his demon slayer mark. It's not implicitly stated within this episode, but this is indeed Tanjiro's demon slayer mark. We see it's not just a scar that he got from saving his brother, but a birthmark that simply showed up on his face after he fought the hand demon in the final selection. With the true activation of his demon slayer mark, we now see his blood begins to boil, giving him a great boost in power, allowing him to keep up with Daki's own power boost. This also sparked Muzan's cells to start trembling in their boots. Gosh, was anyone else super hyped for this? I know I was for sure. But as promised, I'm not going to make these videos any longer than they should, so I'll just move on a little. Episode name: Transformation. So after an explosive episode last week when Tanjiro and Nezuko popped off, we now pick up where we left off, with Nezuko stepping on Daki as if she was a cockroach. But this time, the fight leads to some interesting developments, with a brand new demon showing up to join the fight right after Daki was decapitated. I can feel the air shift as now we see Tengen starting to take the battle a little more seriously. This guy looks dangerous. Nezuko's secret power. So when Nezuko went into her berserk mode, we have seen a display of a few different abilities and power, and in this episode we get a little bit more understanding of what she is capable of. For one, she gets a normal boost that normally all demons have, such as regeneration, speed, reflexes, and perception. But now we can see that her blood also connects to her limbs like a chain. Thus, when they're cut off, she can easily reattach them for maximum fighting potential, which is of an upper rank caliber. On top of that, the power she displayed in her fight with Lower Moon 5 Rui was being able to set her blood ablaze. This technique only damages demons' cells and doesn't hurt humans in the slightest. This great power boost is a huge mystery in the Demon Slayer community, but most believe that due to her conserving her strength by sleeping for such long periods of time, and driven by rage and the instinct to protect her brother, this is what gave her the huge power boost. But there is a huge cost. She now isn't able to stop herself from consuming humans as her thirst gets the better of her. Family and sibling bonds. This episode is heavily themed with sibling bonds, but the one I'm focusing on now is that of the Kamado siblings and the whole family. When Nezuko loses her mind and attacks a human, it's Tanjiro that had to step in and prevent her from consuming this human. However, he had no way of actually stopping her. She was thrashing about until he started to sing her a lullaby. This lullaby was created by her mother, who she loved deeply and would have a symbolic connection to her past as a human. This would not only calm her down, but break through the veil of overwhelming hunger she feels for human flesh. Due to how much power she used in the battle, she instantly fell asleep. Poor Nezuko. Anime exclusive scenes. So, you know how it goes. Here are some anime exclusive scenes for you to enjoy. Manga comparisons. So you know what comes after anime exclusive scenes? It's some manga comparisons. So here are some for you to enjoy. I'm not impressed. Tengen joins the fight. So finally, the god of flashiness joins the fight, and we get to see his power showcase even more by decapitating the already powered up Daki as if it was nothing, and even smugly commenting that she was not an upper rank. That's one way of saying she's no match for him based on her own power, but I think she is an upper rank, but it's a little hard to say since we haven't seen any other demon that Tengen has fought for to see what he's actually comparing her power to. But still, Tengen is so fast that Daki wasn't able to react. Wow. Inosuke and Zenitsu finally catch up. So after running for like half an episode, right after Nezuko calms down, the king of the mountain and our #1 demon slaying Pikachu, Inosuke and Zenitsu, finally show up. Now we can get to see some real action. The real Upper Moon 6 joins the fight. So holy shit, a new demon shows up. Now, there are a couple details that you missed that I'll just cover really quickly. Daki didn't die from her head being cut off. Instead, she was able to reattach her head, meaning that cutting off her head isn't enough to stop her. On top of that, a new demon emerges from her body, and this guy makes Daki look weak in comparison. He isn't much to look at. This must be what nightmares are made of. He shows up and the entire atmosphere changes in an instant, being able to push Tengen back as if it was child's play. This is Daki's older brother, the real Upper Moon 6. Or should I say they both share the same role. This guy uses sickles to fight and he is pretty proficient at them. It is to note that while he's asleep inside Daki's body, that was weird, she is immune to being decapitated. That doesn't mean that the moment he emerges that she can be decapitated safely. It simply means now that they both have to be decapitated at the same time, since they both share the same core. When she was fighting with Tanjiro, it is actually Gyutaro that she mentioned during the fight, not Muzan. Many people would think that it was Muzan that she was talking, but if you listen closely to the dialect, you'll realize that instead of mentioning Muzan by name, which she does throughout the episode, she doesn't mention her brother. Gyutaro's strength. So in this episode, we get to see some great moves from our brand new resident badass demon, Gyutaro. His speed, strength, and even blood art are off the charts. Even Tengen, who was so fast he could slice Daki's head off with no effort, now gets injured and has a hard time keeping up with this guy. He's even displayed perfect control of his demon blood art. Using his sickles, he's able to send out blood-like projectiles and control them in midair. These slashes are so fast they can't be seen by the human eye and are so sharp they can cut anything to shreds on contact. Talk about a situation gone horribly wrong. Sibling duality. This episode is heavily themed when it comes down to sibling duality. This is also the first time we're seeing two upper ranks in one fight, much less them having the same rank. We now have the demon siblings causing a riot in the entertainment district and giving our heroes a run for their money. I wonder how they'll get out of this one. Well, as you know, we'll just have to wait and see. Episode name, Gathering. Demon Slayer is heating up once again with a real fight. It's time for our heroes to stop playing games and start fighting for real, or die on the battlefield. The stakes are high and Tanjiro is doing his best to protect his Hashira at all costs. This is what all-out war looks like. Let's hope we don't lose another Hashira. Tengen's past. So though it was short, we got a quick look into Tengen's past once more, being a shinobi. Hence why he fights much differently from a regular Hashira, being trained as a shinobi since he was born and always fighting for his life. He watched his siblings die off one by one in a cruel, senseless tradition by his father. This must have left a huge scar on his heart. This all goes back to the fact where he values human life over any mission. Tengen's fighting style. You may have seen a major difference between the way Tengen fights versus the way Tanjiro or Kyojiro fights. Since he was trained as a ninja, he's always fought by using cunning moves and mixing in bombs with his breathing forms. And he also uses poison, not just his Nichirin blade. On top of that, having poison resistance as well. This makes him a formidable opponent for even the most powerful Gyutaro. Anime exclusive scenes. So you know how this goes already. Here are some anime exclusive scenes for you to enjoy. Manga comparisons. So right after anime exclusive scenes, you know that there are manga comparisons, so I hope you enjoy. Daki's true strength unleashed. Does it seem like she has a lot of forms to you? She's always going through some form of transformation to unlock her new strength. If it wasn't bad enough, she was already powered up. This is what happens when she syncs up her power with her brother's own power. Man, oh man, this rocks everyone's world. She gets another boost of speed, strength, and reflexes. On top of that, her brother can now see everything that she can, and able to cover each other's blind spots with their demon blood art to a greater degree. Our heroes might end up being killed here, an all-out battle. So it's time for the team to start the bloodbath. Tanjiro and Tengen versus Gyutaro, Zenitsu and Inosuke versus Daki. It's really interesting to see the contrasts between demons and demon slayers here. Now, this is what I mean exactly. As much as Gyutaro and Daki are one, instead of fighting together, they opt to fight the demon slayers individually on their own ground, while the demon slayers pair up to fight. Though technically Gyutaro and Daki are one at this point, both sharing a psychic connection, it's almost like Jiraiya fighting Pain all over again. Let's just hope Tengen doesn't end up losing his life. Gyutaro's demon blood art. I must say, the beauty of this blood art animation is simply amazing. Ufotable at it again. But for this episode, they turned up the animation to 100. But that aside from the animation, which is a great thing, the display of his technique is stunning. It seems if a regular person is cut by his sickles or his demon blood art, even if you aren't cut to pieces, you'll be killed by a toxic poison. This may be one of the greatest reasons why he is so deadly. That isn't to take away from his speed and strength. That's just another added layer why he's so feared. Parallels between Tengen and Kyojuro. Most of us know that Tengen and Kyojuro are worlds apart when it comes on to their personality. Now, something interesting to note is that no one really liked Tengen at the beginning of the series, especially already meeting Hashira like Kyojuro, Gyu, and Shinobu. But over time, his popularity has skyrocketed. In this episode, we actually see what sides of Tengen and Kyojuro's personality are alike. For one, both have a strong sense of justice, and both will do what it takes to protect their subordinates, even willing to give their own life. I don't think my heart can take the death of another Hashira though. Gyutaro's personality. Like the main monster in a horror flick, many stated that Gyutaro's voice actor really went above and beyond, especially shifting his tones and pitches to really sell Gyutaro's manic personality flawlessly. Gyutaro is a very envious demon that looks down on humans for being weak, but at the same time willing to praise them for not only their looks but their accomplishments as well. Not to give them a light pat on the back like a proud dad says, "Attaboy," but more like a sadistic demon who takes pleasure in brutally murdering anyone he considers as more fortunate than him. He spouts his mind and scratches himself uncontrollably in fits of rage to get himself pumped for the battle. His only redeeming quality is that he loves and protects his little sister. Too bad she's a raging psychopath with a god complex as well, huh? Episode name: Defeating an Upper Rank. I found it really funny that this episode is titled Defeating an Upper Rank. I guess it may have been speaking to Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke finally decapitating Daki. Who knows? Either way, we got another banger episode, but this one puts us on the edge of our seats and nearly gave us a heart attack. When will the carnage end? Inosuke is down, Tengen is down, and Tanjiro is hardly standing. Oh boy. Combination of fire and water. In episode 19 of Demon Slayer's first season, we got to see the Hinokami for the very first time. Tanjiro used it in tandem with his water breathing to form a really cool looking flame dragon. This shows how adept he is at mixing and matching techniques to cover his weak points. Within this episode, he demonstrated this once more. When Hinatsuru was in danger of being killed by Gyutaro, Tanjiro knew he wouldn't be able to save her with his individual breathing styles, so he combined them. He's also so humble that he keeps looking down on his abilities, thinking that he's weak, not knowing combining two breathing styles when your body isn't really suited for one and the other one is way too high level is really a talent that only high level demon slayers can do. Hopefully in the future he starts giving himself a little more credit, because this was badass. A cool, calm-headed Zenitsu. Okay, so I'm going to be rambling on a little bit. You know, I've seen a few videos on YouTube criticizing the shit out of Zenitsu's character and ripping him to shreds, as if all this man is a coward. But have you noticed that it's been like 4 episodes now and this man is asleep and still fighting? On top of that, he's sharing his thoughts and being the voice of reason on the battlefield, understanding what needs to be done to win against these demon siblings. On top of that, even Inosuke praises him for his awesomeness. And that doesn't come very easily from Inosuke, you know that already. Take that, you naysayers. Don't you dare insult the demon-slaying Pikachu. Gyutaro's ability. So in this episode, we got another showcase of his abilities, as if he wasn't frightening enough. His strength, speed, regeneration, and perception is on a whole new level. But this time, when he activates his demon blood art, he can do it without moving, and it'll still be in full rotation, while standing completely still. On top of that, he's able to manipulate his flesh in such a way to hold the weapons of his opponents in place, so that he can further cut them to shreds, as we saw in the case of Tanjiro and Tengen. Zenitsu's speed 8-fold. Although we didn't get much of his ability during this episode other than just a quick scene, which is fine as it highlights their teamwork in defeating Daki, Zenitsu can actually go higher than just 6-fold. Essentially, he can manipulate his speed and strength, and thus he indicates them by naming them either 6-fold, which means 6 times the normal, or 8-fold, which is 8 times the normal, which is pretty cool and adds to his character even more. One great thing I love about Zenitsu fighting is that he's doing it while his eyes are closed, meaning that he's only using the sound of his opponents and everything around him to navigate himself during the battle. I know, I've said a lot about Zenitsu in this video, but I can't help it. He's my favorite character and I just want to highlight that. Let's move on. Anime exclusive scenes. So you know how this goes already. Here are some anime exclusive scenes for you to enjoy. Manga comparisons. You know what comes right after anime exclusive scenes. Here are some manga comparisons for you to enjoy. The synergy of the three amigos. Am I the only one on the internet to call these three the amigos? I think it's fitting. Musketeers is too long to say. I can't bother with that. But I digress. It seems it's time for our three heroes to finally sync up their techniques and take down the powered up Daki. And oh man, it was done in stunning fashion. Zenitsu and Tanjiro provide support by blocking the sashes of the Obi and Blood Arts, while Inosuke rushes in. Unlike that of Tanjiro or Zenitsu's blade, Inosuke's has two and they're both jagged edges, perfect to tear demon flesh from both sides, I might add, making it easy to lop off Daki's head, as easy as slicing cheese with a hot knife. Cheese. Daki's hair tendrils. So just when you thought she was out of moves, she pulls one right out of her hair. Not being able to control her body anymore, she desperately uses her hair to try and murder Inosuke, who, like a champ, is running for a touchdown. How many times has she been decapitated now? I lost count. A dire situation. Tengen and Inosuke are down. You probably started this episode thinking that some demons were about to die, only for your hopes to be subverted. Now Tengen is down, his arm slashed off, and his body filled with poison. Inosuke seems to have been stabbed in the heart from the back, I might add. And even if he somehow survived, how would he do with all of that poison in his bloodstream? Everything has just made a turn for the worst. Pardon me while I go in the corner, have a slight panic attack. Episode name, Never Give Up. So in this episode, it is based on the grim premise that everyone was being downed from the last episode, which was pretty quick. Zenitsu fell through a building while trying to save Tanjiro, Inosuke getting stabbed in the back, and Tengen got disarmed and laid to rest. But that doesn't dissuade Tanjiro. He still fights on no matter what the circumstances, one of his most notable traits. There is a side of him that always apologizes for many things that aren't his fault, and this is where Nezuko came in and let him know that it is definitely not his fault and he should continue pushing forward. On top of that, Studio Ufotable went all in the animation, showing they truly love the project just as much as the creator and us anime fans. I was blown away by the sheer amount of scenes that were fully animated through with great sakuga. I felt thoroughly satisfied and wanted this to continue. On that note, we saw where everyone put their all into their last attack. Tengen, Inosuke, and Zenitsu decided it was time to clap some demon cheeks. Can't believe I just said that. Putting their all into their final attack, as I said, but all in all, we love to see everyone do this. But they aren't out of the woods yet, and Gyutaro made sure of it. Tanjiro's similarities with Gyutaro. Since the moment Gyutaro showed up, many have cited his relationship with his little sister as being the same or similar to that of Tanjiro and Nezuko, however, with some major differences between them. In the case of the demon siblings, they are raging psychopaths. But this time, Tanjiro notices the similarities himself and would even comment if he and Nezuko were in the same position, more than likely the same thing would have happened. But this doesn't stop his resolve nonetheless, opting to slice off Gyutaro's neck as they don't value human life, and leaving him alive, many more humans would have died. The coolest guy in the room, Zenitsu, strikes back. I'll never stop bashing those idiotic videos for criticizing Zenitsu as a character simply because they're so polarized in knowing exactly what a good character is. They all expect perfection and refuse to acknowledge extreme kindness, like in the case of Tanjiro, and extreme fear or cowardice, like in the case of Zenitsu, aren't well thought out characters like every other character. Yes, Zenitsu is annoying. However, when it comes time for him to rise to the occasion, he willingly puts his life on the line for his friends and for even strangers. This is one of those moments. Since he showed up within this fight, he's been one of the coolest guys on screen, and we love him for that. Finally, Gyutaro lands a blow. One of Gyutaro's favorite moves is to stab the face or jaw of his opponents for obvious reasons, to ruin what he considers their perfect little face. He tried this move before with Tanjiro, but due to Tengen's quick thinking, he missed. But this time, he lands a solid blow. However, he wasn't expecting Tanjiro to retaliate, at least not with such a wound. One thing he didn't notice is that every single time he exchanged blows with Tanjiro, his speed, strength, and resolve were getting much better. So with that, Tanjiro held in place his sickle and would evenly land a blow against him as well. Way to go. Changes from the manga. So there have been some changes or deviations from the manga in this episode. For one, when Tengen popped out to fight Gyutaro once more, it was Gyutaro who gave us some exposition on Tengen's ability, while in the manga, it basically had a narrator. Inosuke was seen laying on top of the building where he got stabbed in the manga, but in the anime, he was shown to have fallen to the ground. Zenitsu was covered in rubble, but in the manga you can actually see his katana near him, unlike the anime where it's nowhere to be seen. It's also not implicitly stated in the anime that Tanjiro held Gyutaro's sickle in place when he got stabbed through the bottom of the mouth. Basically, the same technique that Kyojuro used to hold Akaza in place. And finally, within the manga, the entertainment district wasn't on fire, but in the anime, Studio Ufotable gave us some of the most realistic looking fire in all of anime history. Pretty cool, right? Manga comparisons. So you know what comes right after anime exclusive scenes? Here are some manga comparisons from this episode for you to enjoy. This man is a Chad. Even after losing his hand, he still manages to get back up and continue fighting. Apparently, he has such good muscle control that he's able to restrict the beats of his heart to make it seem like he was dead. This not only fools his opponent, but slows down the poison circulating in his blood. Also, during the fight, much like how Tanjiro was getting used to the speed of the demon siblings, Tengen was also analyzing their moves, turning it into musical beats. Due to his extreme hearing, he can memorize these moves not only by sight, but by what he hears. Once the moveset is complete, he can basically dance to the beat of his opponent's moves and render them useless. This man is full of tricks. Tanjiro's Demon Slayer mark. So finally, we get to see the evolution of Tanjiro's Demon Slayer mark, looking much more closer to the one we saw in Daki's vision. I must say, it looks a bit more menacing than it did in the manga, and I am loving it. So just in case you need an explanation for the mark once more, centuries ago when the first Demon Slayers were formed, Demon Slayers of a higher caliber were all born with these marks across their face, and Tanjiro's mark seems to have been activated when he was battling the Hand Demon. This mark further increases their strength, speed, and reaction time, which greatly augments their ability to kill demons. Inosuke's ability. Don't worry guys, Inosuke wasn't left out in the plot armor either. But this wasn't some harebrained bullshit reason why he survived the stab from Gyutaro from the back. For one, due to him growing up in the mountains and eating God knows what, he developed a natural poison resistance and a very high resilience to new poisons as well. On top of that, due to his extreme flexibility, he was able to shift his internal organs. Now, you're probably saying that's still some kind of bullshit, and you're right. I really haven't said his next ability due to some manga spoilers, so I'm giving you another warning right now. There is a timestamp, so you can just click on to number 1 to skip this particular spoiler, but I'm going in right now. I've warned you. Inosuke's sense of touch goes beyond just sensing where everyone is. He could easily tell where Gyutaro was and made some countermeasures, but on top of that, he can also tell where on his body someone is looking. Have you ever walked in a dark forest and get that feeling of being watched? That's it, but in Inosuke's case, he can tell exactly where on his body someone is looking. This was also demonstrated in his battle with Lower Moon 1 Enmu, where Enmu couldn't get a reading on where Inosuke was looking because Inosuke already knew that Enmu would be aiming for his eyes and could sense where every single eye was aiming. He did the same with Gyutaro. The moment Gyutaro looked at him, Gyutaro would have picked out where he wanted to stab Inosuke, and thus Inosuke created a countermeasure, moving his heart. Sounds weird, moving your own heart. This guy's crazy. Alright, moving on. Decapitated at last. Through the ups and downs, the peaks and lows, and the crazy intense animation, we finally get to see the end of this fight. Inosuke and Zenitsu take down Daki, and the Demon Slayer marked Tanjiro slices right through Gyutaro's neck. But we aren't out of the woods yet. Remember, Tanjiro and Tengen are both fatally poisoned, and unless Shinobu can arrive, I don't think there's much hope for them. So I'm keeping an open mind to see what happens. Episode name, no matter how many lives. So this is the finale of Demon Slayer, and we got a really nice long episode, which I truly appreciate. So in this episode, we learn a lot of things which we will cover individually. The life and times of Gyutaro and Daki. Finally, the battle has ended, now what? And also, what happened to the others like Zenitsu and Inosuke, and how will they all be saved? We also get a cameo of Akaza and the Snake Hashira, Obanai. Nezuko's abilities. So again, our best girl, or should I say best demon waifu, steps up to the plate and shows us that she isn't just a cute face, she's also an integral part of the Demon Slayer story. Nezuko uses her blood demon art to save everyone from Gyutaro's poison. Pretty funny how Tengen was about to die, but his wives were literally there arguing. That's when you knew in your mind that he wouldn't die, because when Rengoku died, it was a much different mood. Nezuko's flames seems to only affect demons and burns away demon debuffs like poisons, web restrictions, and crazy dream sequences. Wait, is Tanjiro on little Nezuko's back? This is way too much. And someone please tell me, Zenitsu just woke up? Wait, wasn't he even talking in his sleep? This is just crazy. This team is insane. It seems while he's asleep, he loses all of his restrictions and able to fight at his fullest. But when he wakes up, he doesn't know what's going on and he thought it was all just a dream. Pretty crazy superpower if you ask me, but pretty cool at the same time. At the end of their rampage, Ume and Gyutaro's story. I'll be doing a video on them anyway, so I won't spend too much time rehashing this story. But as insanely sadistic as these two are, we got a quick look into their backstories and what set them down the path of being murderous demons. Gyutaro was born ugly and was shunned by everyone, to the point where he had to eat insects, bugs, and small creepy crawlies to survive. That is, until his sister Ume was born, and she was named after the very sickness that took their mother. So Gyutaro devoted his life to make sure this beautiful plum would be loved. He would become a debt collector, and she tried out for the Sex Worker Olympics. At least I think that's what it was. Anyways, but on her way to the finals, she used a hairpin to stab out a samurai's eye. I feel like I'm in the wrong anime, but I'm continuing nonetheless. Anyways, she was burnt to a crisp just like a french fry, and he was slashed in the back when he found her. He ended up killing the samurai, but no one would help him, and it was at this moment that stuck with them through their demon transformation. At the end of their lives, they argued non-stop, but at the end of the day, Ume's love for her brother was so deep that she was willing to follow him to the ends of hell. That's where they would burn forever and rest in eternity. Man, this story sure took a dark turn, didn't it? I also think I got the anime wrong there for a second, but hey, you can correct me in the comments. Let's move on. The previous Upper Moon 6 appears. So here we finally got to see the previous Upper Moon 6. We actually didn't get his name dropped in this episode, which I think is a little bit of a ripoff, but I still love the episode nonetheless. I wonder what really happened to him. Since it doesn't show in the episode, I won't spoil it for my anime only fans. But other than that, this guy's eyes are looking beautiful as all heck, with like some rainbows of some kind. Really love the coloring on him. He has white hair and something at the top of his head. Not only that, when he met Gyutaro, he was carrying the corpse of a dead girl, partially eaten and decapitated, showing just how sadistic he is, which is disturbing to say the least. I literally can't wait until season 3, but seeing that it's already been announced, we'll just have to wait and see. Kagaya on the brink of death. So it's been a couple months since we checked in on our Demon Corps leader, so let's go ahead and check in right now. Oh my god, what the heck is wrong with you? Oh my, I think you need a doctor. No, scratch that, you need an exorcist. So it seems the sickness has progressed and encompassed nearly 90% of his face. Now, as his life is slowly and horrifically coming to an end, he doesn't care about that. Instead, he's glad to hear that in over 100 years, we finally get a win against the upper ranks, and he can sense the winds of change on the horizon. Moreover, he predicts the downfall of the Demon Moons and Muzan on a whole, before breaking into a violent spaz of coughs. I'm pretty sure he coughed up a lung there. 2 kidneys, and I hear a liver? Yeah, definitely. But is his words foreshadowing? Words from Kagaya. So I added this as a second entry simply because his words have huge implications for the series moving forward. Now, going just off the sub and not what he actually says, and based off the manga, his words are, "You are the single blemish on our entire family," while in the anime, he says, "You are the sole blemish on my family." Which in both cases shows us that Muzan seems to have an intimate relationship with the Ubuyashiki family. Maybe at some point he was a part of the family, maybe an adopted son, or maybe he married into the family. Who knows? Maybe he's blood related. It's really hard to say without knowing the full backstory. Hopefully we get more of this in the seasons to come. Again guys, I've actually read the manga, so I know the full story. It's just that, as I said, these videos are mainly aimed at the anime onlys, so I won't spoil anything at all. I'll probably make a dedicated video going through all of these spoilers and all, but for now, let's just follow the show. Let's move on. Saved from poison, Inosuke rises. Zenitsu was the only one of the 3 amigos that was not affected by Gyutaro's poison since he was never slashed directly. And since Tanjiro was already healed, it was time for Inosuke to undergo some burning rituals, and burn he did. The poison was removed, but make no mistake, his wounds are still very serious, being stabbed through the chest. And as you can see, he won't be able to move for a while. But all in all, me, you, and Tanjiro were all glad that he is back. And this Chad couldn't stop screaming that he was hungry. Well, maybe he didn't scream, but someone get this man a burger, please. How about a beast burger? At a crossroad, did you notice that Ume and Gyutaro had different paths? It seems Ume was actually given the choice of going to heaven, despite being a sick, sadistic demon who murdered many humans during her life. But it seems in this world, your life as a demon isn't really taken into consideration. It's all about your life as a human. Before she became a demon, the only thing that she was accused of was stabbing the eye out of a samurai who probably tried to grope her, and then she was set ablaze. Unlike Gyutaro, who actually took pleasure in hurting people while he was alive. Not that this is an excuse to murder humans in any capacity of any life that you've lived. All in all, she did decide that even though she could go to heaven, she wanted to go with her brother to the fiery pits of hell. Poetic, but man. Manga comparisons. So I kinda added more scenes to this, but here are some manga comparisons for you to enjoy. By the way, should I do a dedicated video showing the manga comparisons to the anime for each episode of this Demon Slayer season? It's just a question. Answer in the comments. I bet you're really loving this video. Here's a great way that you can support us. Like, share, and subscribe to get notified of when we post new content. To actually get notified, click on that notification bell. Now back to the video. Slight changes from the manga. I already highlighted one slight variation from the manga in the words of Kagaya, and I won't include any anime only scenes like Nezuko using her blood demon art to save everyone, but here we have some slight variations when it comes on to Gyutaro's younger character's appearance as opposed to what was illustrated in the manga. He looks less decrepit in the anime. And if you guys noticed, in episode 1 of Demon Slayer's Entertainment District, we actually saw scenes from this memory, like the butterfly for instance. On top of that, when Daki was being hurt by Nezuko, she actually had a moment when she remembered her human life when she was being burnt alive. Absolutely horrible, I tell you. So that's our video for today. A pretty hefty one and the longest video on the channel so far. Sorry it had to be so long, but I included everything that I was covering on season 2 of Demon Slayer's Entertainment District. If you wanted to see each video breakdown, I have a playlist on your screen now. Click on that. And thank you again for joining me, V Nation. Peace out. Stay safe out there.